Thank you, Zimbabwe, for tuning into yet another informative edition of your program. This is Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness, and my name is Ozanai Manyore. So this is the farming community platform that we discuss issues in the agricultural industry to do with import substitution, export growth, unemployment of the youth, and even the success of our economy as we pave way towards achieving Vision 2030 as a country. Now today we are going to be looking at the contract system in grains in Zimbabwe. With grains, I'm referring to soya beans, sugar beans, groundnuts, maize, wheat, to mention but a few. To discuss this and more, we have taken the liberty of inviting Mr. Clever Isaya. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the Agricultural Marketing Authority right here in Zimbabwe. Mr. Isaya, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Wadzanai. Good evening, viewers.
We have recently saw the tightening of regulations, of contract regulations, that is through the amendment of the Statutory Instrument 140 of 2013. We are looking at grains, oil seeds, and other products. What necessitated this amendment?
Thank you. The statutory instrument that you referred to, 140 of 2013, has been recently amended. And the new amendment, SI, is SI 274 of 2021. So the purpose of this statutory instrument is to regulate the production and marketing of all strategic grains that you referred to in Zimbabwe. But the reason behind the amendment was to create an enabling environment which promotes investment in the agricultural sector in Zimbabwe. I think in the past we had identified some gaps within the statutory instruments, especially around enforcement of market discipline, issues to do with side marketing. So those were some of the reasons why we amended that statutory instrument.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you so much. I like that you had the effect of market discipline,
exactly.
Because farmers and our farming community might produce, and we'll also have contractors coming in with financing models, but without discipline on our markets, the efforts will be in vain.
Precisely.
Moving right along, I want us to talk about why is it important that all contractors are registered with the Agricultural Marketing Authority? Why can't they just operate without being registered?
Okay. I think, thank you. I think to start with, it's a regulatory requirement for every contractor to be registered with the Agricultural Marketing Authority. So that is also what is captured in the statutory instrument that we were talking about. But more importantly, as the Agricultural Marketing Authority, we do administer a database of all the farmers in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
So the reason why we would then want to also register the contractors is so that we can connect them with the farmers.
Okay.
As you know, we've got 2.8 million households, and all the farmers are registered, and that is a database that we administer as AMA. So as contractors are coming in, we want to identify what sort of commodities do they want to produce, where are the farmers in terms of the agroecological zones, then we also connect them. But over and above that, it's also our mandate to ensure that farmers are protected, the contractors are protected, because it's a win-win situation at the end of the day. So we ensure that the contractors that are coming in to invest, their investment is also secured by dealing with bona fide farmers. On the side of the contractors, the same applies. It is our mandate to make sure that all the farmers, the contractors that are operating in Zimbabwe are registered. So basically that's our role. And in so doing, we also give them advice in terms of extension services and a lot of support programs that are also available from the government. So that's the reason primarily why we would want everyone to be registered.
Maybe for the sake of our audience there at home, there might be a youth out there who has gathered some form of capital and he would like to contract farmers, say in Mutoko, to produce tomatoes.
Sure.
What does it take for a person, an individual or an organization to be registered with Agricultural Marketing Authority? Because as you see, as we will be moving along with the year, when it comes to periods of like maybe June, July, when there is the selling or the marketing of grain, there will be certain people mushrooming from all different spheres of the country saying they are purchasing maize, they are purchasing products from farmers like groundnuts. What is the essence of registering with AMA as an individual or as a company, and what are the prerequisites for a person to be registered with AMA?
Okay. I think to start with, for a contractor to be registered with AMA, the number one advantage is that we've got access to markets.
Okay.
We know what commodities are in demand, what are the prices obtaining. All that information we provide as the Agricultural Marketing Authority. So for one to trade and get value for their commodities, there is information that we provide to our various stakeholders. I think the second question was, what are the requirements for one to be registered? For one to be registered, obviously, you need to demonstrate that you've got capacity to support the farmers.
Okay.
Because in the statutory instruments, you find that there's a minimal requirement of inputs that should be availed to farmers.
Okay.
So as a contractor comes to AMA, that is what we are checking for, to ensure that there is capacity to provide input support, extension services support, chemicals, and all those other things that are related with production.
Okay.
So once we are satisfied that a contractor has got the capacity, the financing, we then register them. And there's a fee for registering depending on the scale at which they want to contract.
Okay.
And all the prices are also denominated in the Zimbabwe dollars.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Isaiah, I wouldn't want to get ahead of myself and say that if you didn't contract farmers, you cannot purchase their maize or their groundnuts. What is the stance of AMA there, your position as an organization in terms of those rent seekers or some companies that would want to get into the field when it's harvesting time and say, I'm going to be purchasing groundnuts in Karoi? We've seen situations whereby individuals are buying grain from farmers. What is your position when it comes to that? Because people might argue and say that there is the indigenization policy, we are open for business, I'm contributing to issues surrounding unemployment, I'm a youth. What is your position as Agricultural Marketing Authority? And are there fines or are there penalties that a person can encounter if he gets into such practices?
Thank you. Yes, as AMA, we administer the statutory instruments through the Agricultural Marketing Act.
Okay.
There are commodities that are classified as controlled goods.
Okay.
So what this basically means, in line with SI 145 of 2019, which is administered by the Grain Marketing Board, maize, soya, wheat, and cotton are classified as controlled goods. Okay. So what this basically means is these commodities should be sold to GMB by the farmers. However, we also allow for private contracting, where if a contractor provides inputs for those products in line with the SI 140 of 2013 that we're talking about, they can buy direct from their own farmers.
Okay.
So there is provision for private contractors to contract and buy direct from the farmers. But outside that, all the commodities are required by the regulations to be sold to the Grain Marketing Board. Okay. So as the Agricultural Marketing Authority, our role is to monitor that is happening, and there are no makorenyeras that you spoke about. Yes. So that is our role in terms of monitoring and ensuring that there is full compliance to the statutes.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Isaiah. There you heard it, viewers. This is the Chief Executive Office of the Agricultural Marketing Authority, enlightening us on their activities and their duties and their regulations in the environment, agricultural environment here in Zimbabwe. On that note, we are going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the second segment. Don't go anywhere. Thank you, viewers, for staying tuned to Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness. This is where we discuss pertinent issues in the agricultural industry right here in Zimbabwe. Now, viewers, we encourage you to be a part of these conversations. Feel free to get in touch with me, the producer, Watsanai Manyore, on 0772 807 506. Alternatively, you can like our Facebook page, Agribusiness with Watsanai. We are also now available on Twitter, and our Twitter handle there is at Agribusiness110. Leave your comments and suggestions on our YouTube channel, Agribusiness with Watsanai. Now, earlier on, before we went to the break, Mr. Isaya here was telling us of how AMA is involved in production here in Zimbabwe and its relationship with the contractors and even the farming community, our farmers, our producers. As we move right along, Mr. Isaya, we are in the second segment. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, I would like us to talk about your relationship with other state enterprises in the agriculture industry. We have the Grain Marketing Board, we have the Tobacco Industry and Marketing Board, and others, to mention but a few. What is your relationship like with these other entities? I understand that as Agricultural Marketing Authority, you are involved in anything to do with agriculture production and marketing. Your relationship with these other state entities?
Thank you. With the entities that you've mentioned, we work very, very closely with the Tobacco Industry Marketing Board. The other one which you didn't mention is the Pig Industry Board.
Yes.
So the Grain Marketing Board. So as you know, we are under the same ministry, and as the Agricultural Marketing Authority, we don't directly administer the statutory instruments for tobacco because that is under TIMB.
Yes.
The same applies to the Pig Industry Board. So anything to do with pig production, pig marketing, that is under PIMB. But however, the Agricultural Marketing Act is the overarching act in as far as administration or regulations for production and marketing. So we do have programs that we work together in terms of enforcement of discipline. We exchange notes in terms of the latest trends, how we can enhance discipline in the market. And in certain instances, there are certain programs that we actually collaborate in enforcing market discipline.
Okay.
So it's a very good working relationships amongst the various marketing bodies that I've talked about.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Isaya. We are having AMA as the anchor in terms of the regulations to do with marketing now. Yes. Moving right along, what are you doing as an organization to ensure that private sector participates fully? They come in with their capital injections, their investment. What are you doing to ensure an enabling environment for such players?
Okay, thank you. I think one of the major aspects that I alluded to earlier on is to do with the regulations.
Okay.
Yes. So if we don't have regulations that promote investment into the country, obviously you then push away investors.
Okay.
Yes. So what we've done with the SIs, especially the ones for grains and oilseeds, is to strengthen them. By strengthening them, what do we mean? I think there have been issues, a lot of issues to do with indiscipline on both ends. Both ends, I'm referring to the contractors. We had contractors in the past that were coming in, not providing adequate support to the farmers. So the SI is also meant to deal with that. At the farmer level, we also had some farmers who were engaging in side marketing and so forth, all that which was prejudicing the contractors. So by reviewing the statutory instruments, we want to make sure that if someone invests in agriculture today, they are guaranteed of getting a return.
Okay.
Yes, so that's what we are basically doing at the moment. And we have seen the impact already with an increased number of our contractors who are coming in. So that is a demonstration of the effectiveness of what has been done to create an enabling environment in agriculture. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Isaya. And also I would want to talk about some challenges in agri-financing. I understand that as much as we have contractors, they also do need a source of capital so that they are well, well equipped to finance farmers. They do have enough to give to farmers, so that we avoid situations whereby farmers are given cosmetic inputs. Some are only given maybe a packaging material without the inputs, the proper inputs, the fertilizers, the chemicals to produce. I want us to talk about challenges in the agri-financing model, and what are some of the measures that has been taken to ensure that we address such challenges?
Okay. I think what you find with regards to agriculture value chain financing is that agriculture, by its nature, it's a mid to a long-term business.
Very true.
Yes, so one of the challenges has been the absence of patient capital in the market. But there's certain interventions that have happened to try and plug that gap or come up with solutions around that particular challenge. What the government has done through the restructuring of the former Agribank into AFC is one such intervention to ensure that there is affordable financing for the farmers, patient capital. As I speak, farmers are accessing financing through AFC, and I would encourage all those in agriculture to also approach AFC, where they can access finance for their various projects in agriculture. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Isaya. As we round off this segment, I want you to touch briefly on your involvement in the horticulture industry of Zimbabwe. I understand that our horticulture industry has a lot of potential in terms of export growth and even import substitution. There are some products that we still import as a country, but we do have localized resources that we can take advantage of and produce our own horticultural produce. Your participation and your sentiments of the horticulture industry as an organization.
Okay, thank you. If you look at our horticulture sector at the moment, I think it's starting to see some growth.
Yes.
Yes, especially in terms of the exports. But as rightly captured in our blueprint, which is the agriculture food systems and transformation strategies, two of the major outputs related also to horticulture is export growth and import substitution, as you rightly captured. So what the role of AMA is to ensure that there are markets. Markets, we talk of markets at three levels.
Okay.
The domestic market, for those that are producing for local consumption. Then we talk of the regional markets, then also talking of the international markets. So what we are doing now is to work on programs to ensure that our farmers are capacitated to take advantage of opportunities that exist in the markets that I've mentioned.
Okay.
Yes. More importantly is to give them market information. What are commodities that are in demand? What are the supply windows for Zimbabwe, especially when we talk of exports? At what point can we export as a country and get the best value?
Okay.
So when you talk of product commodities like your avocados, as avocado, peas, butternuts, manch 2 peas, and so forth, we provide that information to our farmers.
Okay.
But over and above that, we also secure markets for them. I think we've been on record to say we want to promote market-driven production.
Yes.
I think that has been also one of the major challenges when you look at the horticulture sector, where farmers in certain instances produce, then they look for markets.
Very true.
Yes. But in certain cases, you then produce, maybe you don't find the markets, or the product is in a glut, so you can't sell, and you end up incurring losses. So before anyone embarks on production, we encourage them to understand first what are the market requirements. So that is part of our role over and above the market linkages that I've talked about.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Isaya. Definitely, that is a positive addition to our farming community to understand that they need to engage in market-led production, where we say they have to maintain quantity and quality throughout the various stages of production so that their product is acceptable to the market. On that note, viewers, we're going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the third and final segment. Stay tuned. Welcome back, viewers. We are in the third and final segment of your program, Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness. And today we did zero in on contract farming of our grains. We are talking of soya beans, oil seeds, sugar beans, groundnuts, to mention but a few. We are in the third and final segment, Mr. Isaya. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, as we are round off our episode, I want us to talk about the commodity exchange system that has been introduced. What is it aimed at achieving? Your sentiments on that?
Okay, thank you. I think last year in August 2021, we launched the commodity exchange. Our role as the Agricultural Marketing Authority is to provide for the regulations that govern trading on the commodity exchange.
Yes.
The statutory instrument, I think, is 218 of 2021. That's the statutory instruments that regulates transactions on the commodity exchange. Coming back to your question in terms of the purpose, it's part of the government efforts to enhance market access.
Okay.
Yes. So as you know how it operates, it's through a price discovery mechanism.
Okay.
I think in the past we've had farmers complaining that we are not getting full value for our products.
Very true.
So what the exchange basically allows for is for a price discovery mechanism where a farmer can get the true value of their commodity. So we support that because when it comes to the issue of markets, you want to have as many touch points as possible. More importantly, the farmer will benefit from that aspect. So this particular commodity exchange, it's licensed for 18 commodities.
Okay.
Yes.
18 commodities.
Yes.
Okay.
18 commodities that can be traded on the commodity exchange.
Okay.
I think as we speak, there are about 4 commodities that are currently being traded on that exchange. However, it excludes maize, cotton, wheat, and soya.
Okay.
Yes.
So what are the commodities? A brief touch on
so
that.
currently there is sorghum, there is
Okay.
sugar beans, there is groundnuts. But what I know is that the operators will be adding more commodities on the exchange.
Okay.
Yes. So it's still in its pilot stage. That's why there's a limited number of commodities.
Very true.
But again, you recall that from our previous discussion, there are certain commodities that are still controlled, maize, soya, and wheat. So that's
Okay.
why those are still excluded at this particular stage.
Okay.
Yes, but from our discussions, I think it's also an area which will be considered as we go forward, so that some commodities, as we increase our production, those will also be introduced on the exchange as we move forward.
Thank you so much, Mr. Isaya. We have come to the end of our episode. Your final remarks, your word of advice. Mukutendera ma streets in ma farms, you would hear some people saying, I do have the money. I would want to contract farmers, but unonyura, unozoita say. Then there are still some farmers who are skeptical, saying, varukuti vanoti contract achibage whatever, makambozviona kupi chibage chicontract toziya fojgari no contractor. Your sentiments, your word of advice to our farming community, to the various stakeholders in terms of forging partnerships that are profitable and even that add on to our economy as a whole. Your word of advice.
Thank you. When it comes to contracting, what I would encourage both the contractors and the farmers is that at the very starting point, engage Agricultural Marketing Authority before you commit to a contract. What we are seeing is that if a contract is signed outside the purview of the Agricultural Marketing Authority, if there are the issues that then arise, it's very difficult for us to intervene.
Yes.
But our role is to ensure that the interests of the farmers are catered for, interests of the contractor are also catered for. So we've got a standard contracting template in line with the statutory instruments that ensures that anyone who invests, they are guaranteed of their return. And on the farmer side, an agreed price, an agreed support level is also provided for by the contractor. So at every stage of the season, we are also coming in, Agritechs, ensuring that that support is provided for as stated in the contract.
Okay.
Yes. So I would encourage everyone to go into contracting, but in line with the provisions of the said statutory instruments.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Isaiah. It was a pleasure having you with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for yours.
On that note, viewers, we have come to the end of this week's edition. We're looking at contracting in our grains, say soya beans, sugar beans, the oil seeds, just like how it is being done in the tobacco industry. From me, Wadzanai Manyore, I'm also on Instagram, it's a W Manyore, and Mukoma Dani Daniel Muranganwa. Have yourselves a fabulous evening. Thank you for watching.